Today, somewhere in the world, a man, I don't know, raped a woman, I don't know. And I don't think I get to call myself completely separate from the culture that made him. And I know how that sounds. And let me say this clearly, a rapist is responsible for a rape. Fully, legally, morally, and humanly. There is no philosophy that softens that sentence. There is no spirituality that makes the victim and perpetrator morally equal. One was violated, one violated. The distinction is very clear, and it should remain sacred. But if we stop at punishment, society gets to walk away clean, innocent. And I don't think society is innocent. Because if he was born a monster, then we are safe. But if he was made, a deeper, bigger question arises, and it becomes unbearable. The question is, then who made him? According to World Health Organization, which estimates that nearly 1 in 3 women globally have been subjected to physical and or sexual violence by an intimate partner or non-partners. According to UNICEF, more than 370 million those women alive today experienced rape or sexual harassment, assault before even turning 18. Let that sink. So if this is only a problem of few evil men, which usually lots of men think, it's okay, but these numbers suggest that there are too many evil men out there. And I'm here to ask you a question that maybe we are not just looking at the criminals, but maybe we are looking at a culture that keeps producing them. Two years ago, I was visiting my home in India. I was sitting with my childhood friends in a car. It was nighttime. Some of them had some alcohol in their system. But the mood inside the car was loud. The music was on. We were all laughing, sharing memories. You know, just how it is when you meet with your childhood friends after years. And suddenly, a girl was crossing the street in front of us. One of my friends, close enough that I had grown up around him, said something about her body in Hindi. The sentence was, "Bhai chuche dekh uske." If you are from India, you might find it a bit funny because these words are something people look and laugh about. However, if you will just sit down once you are done laughing and look at the word, it is used as a derogatory word and as an insult towards women. When you use these kind of remarks, you literally, and I should say we literally turn a person into a body, aka objectification. What was happening in that car on that night when the other guys in the car laughed and I said nothing, not because I agreed, I didn't. Yeah, I felt something tighten in my chest in the moment he said it, but I also felt something else. The fear of being the guy who lectured his friend, the fear of changing the temperature of the car, the fear of being the boring one, the fear of disrupting a long friendship over a single word. So I stayed quiet. And in that silence, something was confirmed. Not by my speech, by my silence. The joke was allowed. The word was allowed. The reduction was allowed. I know laughing at the comment doesn't make you a rapist. I mean, staying silent in a car is not a rape. I do get it. I'm not trying to make it more than what it is. Let's not be stupid. But this is exactly where the mind escapes. But I want to stay there. Because a culture is not only built by laws, it is built by permissions. It is built by small permissions, silent permissions, laughing permissions, the kind where nothing happened, but something was allowed to continue. That moment, more than 2 years, has not left me. Most probably won't leave me ever. Every time I read about a man who did something terrible, and I think to myself, he is a monster. He is a rapist. He is nothing like me. I am better. But psychologically, I might also be protecting myself because the word monster, rapist, murderer does one very convenient thing. Of course, if you inquire enough, it creates distance between me and the criminal. And it lets me punish him here without examining the world that shaped him. It lets me hate the final act without questioning the first lesson. Close your eyes and imagine this. When the man who did that terrible thing was a baby, he cried when he was hungry. He reached towards warmth. He reached for his mom. He didn't know gender. He didn't know power. He didn't know shame. He didn't know domination. He was as innocent as anyone, as any baby who was ever born on this planet. Completely clean. So, what happened between that baby and the man he became? A study shows that lots of abuses in the family makes person violent. Suppressing emotions makes it, but there is no linear study. There is no one kind of setting which creates such monsters. So not every abused child becomes violent. Most don't. And not every rapist was abused. So this is not a simple equation, but research keeps pointing towards something uncomfortable. Violence, neglect, entitlement, peer approval, rape-supported beliefs, hostility, emotional numbness, dehumanization. All of these can become the part of the soil where sexual violence grows. And it's not destiny, it's the soil. And soil matters. Lots of men say, hey, it's just desire, it's biological, you should have covered your body. But desire is not rape. Attraction is not rape. Sexuality is not rape. The body wanting another body is not the problem. It's very natural. The problem begins when desire becomes entitlement. Desire says, I want. Entitlement says, I deserve. And dehumanization says, your no does not matter. And that is where this begins. Not in the body, it's in the perception. Before the hand moves, the mind has already done something. It has taken a person and made them less real than desire. And now I want to give you another perspective on this. There's a teaching, and this perspective, if understood, can actually eradicate such crimes from society. But of course, it needs to be understood by masses. I'm also sure most people won't get it. And my attempt is not to make everyone understand. My attempt is to just talk about it. And if anyone is willing to do it, they will. Because in the process of understanding this perspective, not just reduces suffering in society, it reduces suffering in one's life. Because when I suffer, I cause suffering outwards. If I am at peace, I cause peace outwards. Society is reflection of an individual human. So if society at large is suffering, it means human in his bedroom is also suffering. You can only give what you have. So there's a teaching which is older than any modern psychology, older than any country existed. It says that separation is not as absolute as the ego wants it to be. And in English language, there is no word which actually describes what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to borrow a word from my native language, which is Hindi. And the word is ahankar. Ahankar is a mix of two words. Aham, akar. Aham means whatever you think you are, the self itself. Mental image, social image, bodily image, just name it. If you can think about it, that's who you are. Every thought you think who you are is ahankar, is the ego. Tall, fat, skinny, black, brown, white, Latvian, Indian, Russian, kind, and introvert, ambivert, extrovert, bold, whatever. Boy, girl, man, old, young. Any noun, any verb you are giving to yourself is your ego, a construct which was then assumed because of conditioning that this is who I am. Ego wants to be separate to protect itself. Very biological phenomenon, like every other animal or human have it. I am separate from the rest, so that's why I should protect myself. And this teaching is called Advaita Vedanta, aka non-dualism. It says the separation might look real, but it's not. Not morally, okay? Morally, as I said previously, the distinction is clear. Morally, one was violated, one violated. There is no second guesses here. The act matters, the body matters, the consequence matters. I'm talking about on the level of existence. Existentially, no human being arises alone. And this does not mean victim and perpetrator are morally the same. They are not. And that does not mean the act disappears. It does not mean the consequences disappears. Non-duality does not erase responsibility, it expands it. Think of it like electricity. The same current runs through a house, run that current through a lamp, it lights the room, run it through a fan, it cools the room, but run it through something defected, something damaged, and it can destroy. And the current did not become evil. The instrument was distorted. And that's what humans are, an instrument. At the deepest level, the consciousness is not divided the way the mind divides it. But the instrument through which consciousness experiences or expresses can become distorted. Distortion happens because of the soil the instrument was grew in, by violence, by silence, by shame, by humiliation, by entitlement, by culture, by what was rewarded, by what was never questioned. So when we look at a man who violated someone, the moral question is clear. He is responsible, but the deeper question is not finished. And we, as society, often stops at blaming the person. The deeper question stays unanswered, uninquired, and the question is, what shaped the instrument? Until now, I've been using the word culture, but now we're going to take an example of ocean and wave. This is much more refined way to look at it. Imagine a wave of the ocean. The wave looks separate. It has a shape, a height, a direction. It rises, it falls, it crashes, it moves, it damages, it repairs. But the wave is not separate from the ocean. However, the wave can think very conveniently that it is. And every wave can think that. That I am separate, the wave next to me is separate, the bigger wave, I need to be bigger than him. The smaller waves think, oh, I'm so small, I'm so powerless, I can't do much. However, they are missing out one point, one thing. All of these waves, billions of waves, that they are essentially the ocean. There is nothing as separate wave from the ocean. It is the water. The wave is the ocean, briefly taking the shape. And now imagine the human. The brief time is 80, 100 years. In case of wave, it's for a few seconds. But still, we both are a construct of time. The wave appears in time, disappears in time, another wave comes, another wave goes. Then the wave becomes the coastline. And when it does, we don't say this wave came from nowhere, do we? We look at the ocean. Wind, pressure, currents, storms, things underneath the surface shaping what finally appears. A man who violates someone is responsible for the act fully, but he did not arise from nowhere. The wave has a shape. The wave has force. The wave causes damage, but the wave has shaped by the ocean. And the ocean is the culture we keep building together. You see, when ocean does what it does, something happens slowly in the imagination of a boy. Inside a certain kind of culture, he is taught that women are jokes. He is taught that no is a challenge. This whole ideology of girls being girls should be chased, men should be chaser. It teaches men that no is a challenge, that persistence is romance, that pressure is flirting. Like, for example, watch this another video.
रेप क्यों होता है?
ज्यादातर तो लड़कियों की गलती होती है कि छोटे छोटे कपड़े पहनती हैं लड़कियां। कपड़ों के पहनाव के ऊपर भी कुछ देखना चाहिए कि वो क्या पहन रहे हैं, कैसे पहन रहे।
वो अच्छे की तलाश में रहती हैं, अच्छे की तलाश में बेहतर को छोड़ देती हैं।
हवस जो पैदा होती है वो इन चीजों को देखकर ही पैदा होती है लड़कों के अंदर।
तो भाई लड़कियां घूमती हैं अपने दोस्तों के साथ और इधर फिर अकेले भी जाती हैं, तो ये सब।
You saw these were few men around the world, and you would think that, oh, it's just these men. No, it's society speaking through them. It's an ideology. It's not just one man. Because if it would be just one man, I won't be making this video. This topic would not exist. The men are being taught that others' men's approval matters more than another person's fear. He is taught that sadness is weakness, so sadness has to become something else, and mostly it becomes anger. It has to go somewhere. He learned words where someone's mother becomes an insult, someone's sister becomes an insult. And slowly, without anyone saying it directly, the feminine becomes a place where anger can be thrown. He watches screens before he has language for consent. He sees bodies before he knows how to meet people. He learns arousal before he learns reverence. Cultures, and culture rarely says that violate someone. It shapes your mind very subtly. It does something more subtle. It teaches the mind who is fully real and who is available to be used. And once a person becomes an object in the mind, violence becomes negotiable. And rape is the extreme of that perception, but the perception itself is everywhere. Here's one more confession, which is very hard to confess, but I will, because it might help someone else. After that moment in the car, I started doing small things, and none of them looked enough. None of them solved anything in this world. The problem is still there and it will be there. But what I did is that my best friend and I, without making a big deal out of it, started replacing the word motherfucker in the conversation. We chose mother lover. I know how that sounds. I do. It's slightly ridiculous. It was slightly ridiculous. But the language I had grown up using assumed something which most of us still uses, which I no longer wanted to assume. That the worst thing you could do to a man was do something to his mother. That the deepest insult has to pass through her body to reach him. I didn't have clean philosophy yet. I just had this small silly word change. It felt absurd. I did it anyway. Then I stopped watching pornography. Not because I think every act of watching it is moral collapse. I'm not saying that, but because I noticed what it was causing or doing to me personally, to my own mind. When I would see a woman at the gym or walking them on the street, the first thing I feel was not person. I stopped seeing person, I started seeing bodies. My friends said and told me, it's just nature, bro. It's biology. Of course you will feel the way you feel. And it's how men are wired. And they are not wrong. But they are partially right. There's a catch to it, which I understood when I stopped watching it. That arousal is real, biology is real, but what you do with that arousal in your mind, that imagined elaboration, the fantasy that keeps going on in your running in your head, when body has already responded, that is not nature. That is conditioning. The problem is not a one image. The problem is repetition without reflection. And sadly, in the society, no one really reflects. I'm still slightly embarrassed to describe. I opened the Notes app on my phone. I created one file. And every time I caught myself objectifying anybody, reducing a woman to a body, at the gym, on the street, on the screens, I stopped and I marked 1X on the phone. And in the first week, there were too many X's, more than I would like to admit to myself. But by the second week, just by noticing, the X started reducing. And one day, it took maybe 2-3 weeks, there was none, 0. It took me a few weeks and I stopped objectifying women. And see what happened here. I did not suppress anything. I did not fight my biology. I did not try to fix myself. I just watched. I only watched. And the watching itself, the simple act of observing when the moment it happens, was enough to break the loop. And that is what actually healing is. It's not just about this one thing. Any kind of healing has this same method. You can't heal yourself by fixing yourself, but by observing, until you and the pattern becomes separate completely by the mere act of observation. I also asked people in my circle to stop sending me reels and videos that reduce women to bodies. Most of them did. Some thought I'm being weird. Few stopped texting me at all. Thank God they did. And And I do realize none of this is solution. It's not. They are not even close to enough. They are evidence that the inquiry has continued in my body, not just in my head. I'm not telling you to do these things. They are mine, and they will always be mine. You will find yours if you really want to, or you won't. And that also says something. It's an information too. I made this video because that moment in the car has not left me. It keeps coming back late at night while walking in a park when I'm trying to sleep. And I also understand my silence didn't cause crime somewhere. But because my silence showed me something about the water I'm swimming in, that I'm not above of any of this. I'm inside it. And I do know I'm not the same man as who did the terrible thing in action, but I'm not outside the human field that shaped him. You cannot heal something by walling yourself off from it. That's what we do when we blame people blindly. Blaming is one thing, blaming blindly is completely different thing. They are two different ball games we are playing. And you can only begin by recognizing where it already lives in smaller, quieter forms. Nobody is born rapist. And that does not make him innocent. It makes the question bigger. And if that makes you uncomfortable, that's good. It's very good. Because the monster is not outside of the ocean. The monster is what the ocean refuses to see in itself. So now you know. Now you know.